2nd and 10.
Monday Night Football, now a matter of history. With 40 ticks and a chance, Daniel Jones feeling some phantom pressure after being pressured all night, and it's Beanie Bishop, the undrafted rookie, saying roll credits. The INT bringing this game to an end. The drive prior, a strip sack by TJ Watt. So that's turnovers on each of the final 2 drives for Danny Dimes in prime time. Post-game is presented by Old El Paso. Start somewhere fresh. Joe Musso alongside Emory Hunt and the 2-time Super Bowl champ in black and yellow. The terrible towel tells a story. Bryant McFadden.
Don't duck, let it touch you. Let that greatness rub off on you. There you go.
Greatness is a word I guess we could assign here to the result, but I want to dig into some of what we saw here from both Pittsburgh and New York. My eyes continue and mine keeps going to that TJ Watt strip sack. I know there was one more chance beyond it for this New York Giants football team, but to have a weapon like that you know in crunch time is going to do something like that, Mac, what sort of luxury is that for a defense?
TJ is one of the few players in the National Football League. His greatness will surface at some point in time. I played with one in Troy Polamalu. And the thing we knew about Troy TP, we knew eventually when things got critical, he was going to make a play. It was almost like you look at him without saying anything and be like, okay, bro, it's time for you to show up. Put your Superman cape on and do something heroic that we can't do. That's who TJ Watt is, and that's who he's been throughout his entire career for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And to your point, Joe, how monumental that play was. Everything was set up for the Giants to be able to eventually try to tie the ball game. They came up with a big-time play, forcing a fumble on Russ. The stadium got silent. Now you're like, oh, what's going to happen, right? But TJ Watt came out and said, no.
Fire him back up.
You need to play. Who you going to call?
Yeah.
TJ Watt. And he answers the call, one of the best to ever do. And for me, first and foremost, coaching era, you should never allow a guy like TJ to be singled up in a moment like that where your quarterback has to have time. Now, they had issues with either side. Alex Highsmith was almost unblockable. But at some point in time, you can't let 90 be solo with an opportunity to do what he did tonight.
Emory, that is 31 forced fumbles by TJ Watt since he entered the league, 22 strip sacks. This was the trifecta, the strip sack, fumble recovery.
Oh.
What stood out to you from Pittsburgh's performance tonight?
Well, when you look at the TJ Watt part, when you talk about great players making great plays, when the game calls for it, the timing of the greatness of the play. Joe Montana's drive against the Bengals in the Super Bowl in 1988 when he had to drive the length of the field to get that game with a touchdown. You talk about Desmond Howard back in college in needing to make a play. He returned the punt versus Ohio State. That's when you know you have someone elite. We were watching this ball game and knew that they have to get something going. They have to get a sack. They have to do something to disrupt the Giants' momentum. And TJ Watt made the play that needed to be made in that moment. Not only got the pressure, got the strip, got the sack, got the recovery. That's the trifecta. That's what you want to see from your prime time players. And greatness just shows up when you want it to. There's a difference between good and great, and we saw great tonight.
And sometimes in the biggest moments, on the biggest stage, under the brightest lights, that's where play tends to shirk. Daniel Jones had opportunities in this football game. This was not the shutdown performance by the Pittsburgh defense that maybe some had assumed, given what this New York Giants team is deficient in. What did you see from DJ in this game, Mac? Where did he fall short? Obviously, a fumble and an interception to end this game, but there were moments where New York was moving the football.
Yes, and unfortunately for Daniel Jones, the untimely turnovers, they surface at the wrong time, and people would only look at the fumble or the interception. But throughout this flow of the ball game, he was competing. He was throwing the football with confidence. He was pretty accurate, to say the least, and that's what you want from your quarterback. But when you look at his career, right, in totality, you see more of the turnovers, the fumbles, than the interceptions than anything. And that is something that we're always going to hold over his head. And the last most important issue for Daniel Jones, winning. You want to find a way to win, right? Russell, yes, it wasn't solely on him, but his team won, right? That's the most important thing. Unfortunately for the Giants, they continue to find ways to lose ball games.
Especially in prime time. Emory, you saw it 0-8 Monday Night Football, now 1-15 prime time. I know you took some issue with Brian Daboll's pulling of the strings in certain moments. Yes, Daniel Jones falls short in the biggest moments on this night, but what did you see from the coaching staff?
The fact that I felt like he coached a little bit scared. You know, you didn't give your team a chance to win. You had a lot of opportunities. You talk about Daniel Jones getting involved, and I thought Tyrone Tracy really showed up big tonight. I felt like he was the one that wasn't afraid of the moment with how well he ran and how well he played considering the circumstances, and then he ultimately gets injured. And when you look at the passing game, finding ways to have your quarterback have success, you saw Slayton step up and have a big game. But where I thought Brian Dibble came up a little bit small was on a two-point conversion. Now, we talked about it a lot where, okay, when to go for two, when not to go for two. You saw your team work its best to get downfield, to get scores. And here you have a touchdown finally, and you don't kick the extra point to go down 7.
Okay, so bigger issue with the decision to go for 2 or bigger issue with the play call when going for 2?
Yes, all of it.
Fair enough.
At the end of the day, like when to go for 2 and the play call to go for 2, that's not, you saw the linemen, they were looking like, man, we're not going to snap this ball. And he snapped it through it and nothing happened.
I don't understand this whole going for 2 points, and the reason why you're going for it is because they say analytics.
And I know you do understand that, Mac,
you should go.
Give me the other side of the analytics, because we've talked about this before. Yes, analytics say you'll have a shot because you're going to have to score another touchdown, so the 2 points will give you the tie anyway. But tell me the difference from the player's standpoint. 2 different football plays having to be successful.
So the difference when you factor in analytics compared to the actual realness of the game is analytics, they don't consider how good your quarterback is. They don't consider how good or bad your offensive line is. They're just considering the moment.
The situational data point.
The situational data based on the numbers.
Yeah.
But when you talk about completing plays, how good your players are means something. That should forever outweigh what analytics says you should do. Because analytics, they're not considering the defenders you're going against and how good they are. To your point about that opportunity, it wasn't like you were having success getting in the scoring area anyway, in scoring range.
Yeah.
It was a misgapped opportunity that led to the long run by Tracy that led to that touchdown. Okay, cool. It was more so about what the Steelers didn't do compared to what you did do, and you felt like you could instantly, we can convert an extra 2 points.
Plays do not occur in a vacuum. One begets another, leads into another, leads into another. In that context, I feel sometimes is lost in the analytics. I always say it, analytics meant to inform, not decide. And we saw a decision made earlier in the week by Sean McVay when there was a situation 2 would have taken them up 2 possessions. He kicks it to make it 8 because you got to beat me on 2 plays. You know That's the other side of that analytics.
I would love to see if they can create a system where analytics, it also considers how good your left tackle is compared to that edge rusher he is going against, or right tackle. What's the probability in your right tackle blocking T.J. Watt long enough for the 2-point to be converted?
When you're both tired, too, not at the beginning of the game when you're both fresh. Like, this is later in the game where I may be a little bit banged up more so than I was in the first quarter, and he is still T.J. Watt.
Fellas, we are up against it. In a word here, because I'd love to delve deeper into the conversation, but we do have a bye week coming up for Pittsburgh, so plenty of time to talk it out. In a word, who starts the next game for Pittsburgh at quarterback?
Give it Russell Wilson, because, again, we need 6 games.
Russ.
Okay. They said it was going to be the 2-game tryout going into the bye. Then they get together, they talk, and make the decision.
It's Russell's job. As long as he is healthy.
It's Phil's job, but I say give him 6 games.
4:30 mark. 4:30 mark. Russ put it on the ground. Another data point to consider.
That's what we're doing.
Time now for our Talk About It player of the game, a game-changing performance. You want to double down here? Your Talk About a game-changing player of the game, Mac?
I dare you go with him.
I can't because I'm going with T.J. Watt. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about the best defensive player in the world. Do not cheat him this season. He didn't get the award a year ago, but you can tell he's playing with that on his mind, and he wants his respect. He showed up again. When you need a play, he makes the play. T.J. Watt, 7 total tackles, 2 sacks, 2 TFLs, stand for tackle for losses, 1 forced fumble, 1 fumble recovery. Every sack that he created was monumental. Remember I said at halftime they had 0 sacks. What was going on? Dexter Lawrence showed up in the first half. T.J. Watt didn't. Guess what? He heard old Mac. He said, you know what, Mac? I got something for you.
He was tuned into halftime?
Yeah, on the iPhone. They got the iPhones in the locker room sometimes.
That's how they do it in Pittsburgh. I know that.
Your oranges and your Powerade, Gatorade, and tap your phone to see what's going on. Old Mac said we hadn't answered the call. Ring, ring, ring. He didn't actually call, but he answered. That's what we need. TJ Watt, the best in the world, a professional sacker.
I'm disappointed in you, man. I'm surprised you didn't tie that into a tie and wear that tonight. I'm going to go with Calvin Austin.
My undershirt.
And listen, you got to do what's best for the team. Yeah. Calvin Austin broke this game open because we're headed for a 21-21 game, all field goals between these two teams until he returned that punt 73 yards. And then he's like, you know what, I ain't done yet. 3 catches, 54 yards, and a touchdown. So he was doubling down on the big playmakers. He got 2 touchdowns when everyone was struggling to get 1. And all his touchdowns counted. So for me, he is the biggest player of the game. I want to talk about Calvin Austin because he did a fantastic job.
Can I see you just wave it one time? I know you've never done it before.
I got you. You saw my pick pregame? All on the line winners.
Yeah, we know.
It's the Steelers in black and yellow. 6-2 heading into the bye. Top of the division.
That's not real gold. You know what I'm saying? That's
Love watching ball with my guys, the great Emory Hunt and Bryant McFadden. Breaking it down here on HQ, fellas. We thank you. And they give thanks for TJ Watt. Forced fumbles since he entered the league in 2017. You heard it already. 31. Tops in the league. Strip sacks, 22. Tops in the league. Fell on a big one tonight as well. TJ Watt, the game breaker.
And he got the chain on.